Hello there, it's David here from the PPC Machine. Now, as many of you know, I run a business which is all about helping mortgage brokers and financial advisors to generate more of their own leads from their own websites and other online channels, so as they don't have to keep buying in leads from third-party companies. And one of the things I do as part of that is I run a private Facebook group for mortgage brokers and financial advisors who want to learn more about improving their marketing and generating their own leads. And within that group, I typically run a Facebook Live once a fortnight where it's either me giving some advice on a particular topic, or sometimes I get someone on and I interview them. And a few weeks ago, I was joined by a guest called Rob Da Costa. He's a business coach, and one of the things that Rob and I have got in common is we're both big fans of niching, and we both really understand the impact that can have on your business in terms of helping you market yourself more efficiently, get more clients, and hence make more money. And so during the interview, and I'll put a link to the full interview in the description below, but during the interview, one of the things we talked about was niching. So in this video, I've extracted that section of the interview. So as those of you who want to know more about niching and want to learn what it can do for your businesses can just watch that individual bit. If you've got any questions or any comments, please do leave them down below. And if you find this video useful, please hit the like button and also subscribe and hit the bell icon so as you get notified whenever new videos are uploaded. That would be really appreciated and would really help me out a lot. So thanks very much, and I hope you enjoy this bit of the interview. Another thing we touched on earlier on and said we'd come back to was this idea of niching within the business. Now, I know it's something that you and I are both big advocates of. But what made you first realise that was the way with your business, and how has that changed things? And is it, would you advise people watching today who are obviously in a different industry, would you advise them to niche as well?
Yeah, I think for me it was born out of necessity because I was failing trying to be a generalist, and it was, the thing is, when you're a generalist, it becomes very difficult to identify who your ideal target customer is, and therefore it becomes very difficult to create sales and marketing messages and tactics to reach that audience if you're not really sure who that audience is. If it's anybody and everybody, it's very, very difficult. Whereas if you have a clear niche, then it becomes much easier to identify your ideal target customer and the things that they've got going on that I can help with. So I would advise everybody. I don't really know many generalist businesses that are really successful. When you look at the bigger businesses like Coca-Cola or someone, they're not generalists. They're completely niched. You just don't necessarily see the niches. You'll see certain ads that they run that will be completely targeted at 18 to 25-year-old females or whatever. So but anyway, we're not those people, and we don't have the budget that they have to reach their audiences. So I would advise everybody to be niche. I think people run these fears about, if they become niche, won't they miss out on loads of opportunities? But I think you will win more opportunities. I think when you are niched, it helps you stand out from the crowd. I think in a competitive market like we are all in, you need to find ways to look different. So absolutely, you should niche. And you should remember that when you are niched, it doesn't commit you to that niche forevermore. You can move out, move in, change over time. And you can also take on work that's outside of it. I said earlier, I have an architect that's a client of mine, and they're not an agency, not really by the strictest sense. And the reason why I started working with them was because I really like the people and because I thought I could help them. And so we take those decisions on a case-by-case basis to step outside of our niche, but I would never market myself as a specialist to architects.
Yeah, so that's the thing people need to remember. If something falls into your lap, doesn't mean you have to turn that client away, unless you want to. But it's by having the niche, it allows you to actually focus your proactive marketing.
Exactly. And what I would say to anybody that's thinking about this is that if you agree with yours and my views on niching, then you should commit to it. You should choose your niche. You should do some research to work out where your niche is. This is where you're passionate, where you've had the best results, and where there's a market, that sort of intersection. And then you should just go for it. And that means showing up as a specialist in that niche, like your website, your communications, the way you talk about yourself, the way you introduce your business. Show up as that specialist, because you will navigate your way to your ideal target customer then. And let's just face it, if they're talking to a specialist mortgage broker and a generalist mortgage broker, they are almost always going to pick the specialist, because that specialist will be seen as the expert. And, you know, it's the old adage, if I needed knee surgery, would I go to my GP for the surgery, who's a generalist, or would I go to a knee surgeon specialist? And guess what? When I go to that knee surgeon specialist, I'm going to pay more money than I would to the generalist. So there's a whole load of reasons why we should show up. And I appreciate, again, some people might be thinking, I don't know how to find my niche. So for me, it was quite easy, but I think obviously that's where you step in with your clients. And it isn't always obvious how to find your niche, but I would really encourage people to find a niche and commit to it for a period of time, and make sure all your outbound comms are in that niche, and make sure your messaging is really specific, so that you attract that audience that wants that specialist.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things I see happening quite a lot with the clients I've worked with, or people who aren't clients but I'm talking to about this stuff, is once they come on board with the idea of niching, it's then still the next challenge is to get them to be tight enough with the niche. So I was talking to somebody earlier this week, for example, he said, right, I've sorted my niche, and I forget where he lived now. Let's say it was Cambridgeshire. And he said, my niche is people in Cambridgeshire who want a remortgage. And you know, I said, actually, that's still way too broad, you know. And so start thinking about this person. Think about this person in Cambridgeshire who wants a remortgage. Why do they want it? You know, what's there? Because there's obviously all sorts of reasons someone can want a remortgage. Is it because they want to achieve something like, you know, home improvement, or is it because they've got debts that they want to pay off, or are they getting divorced? There's, you know, a number of different reasons for it. And I said, by drilling into that, you can actually get far more specific, because I think, you know, something like remortgages for people in Cambridgeshire is still way too wide. I mean, I don't know whether you'd have a thought on that or not.
I do, and I think that the advice would be go narrow and broaden out. Don't go broad and then try. You know, don't be a generalist in a niche. I guess that's what you're saying, really.
Yeah.
So I would go
something like Google Ads or something like that, where it's much easier to start it on a range of keywords that's really tight, and if it turns out to be too small, broaden it out, rather than trying to rein it back in if you've cast the net too wide.
Yeah, exactly. So my advice is go niche. Know that the niche you're picking is big enough, which, you know, most niches are, and then, you know, as you develop specialist skills on there, you might find those skills are transferable into another niche, and that's how to then broaden out. So that would definitely be my advice. I like to say, I don't know anybody that is a generalist that is more successful than a niche specialist. So there's 100 reasons why you should, and not many reasons why you shouldn't.
Yeah,
it's fear and mind that stops people at the end of the day.